Good morning. It's the 5th of March. Important day for me. Bills are due tomorrow. What a way to live one's life. Serving the medical doctors, going to medical appointments, which interrupts everything else that's really enjoyable about life. Oh, I had a nice background there. There we go. I think that's helpful. This is giving psychology away, and this is going to be number 134. I started to call my show, which is uploading at the moment, on Merrick Garland and the white supremacists. I used to call it show number 134, but that's the other channel. And we didn't focus on the Bible scriptures at all, but on this channel we just might go to the scriptures tonight. I think we should. We have a sick gentleman in the Attorney General's office. He has a pathology, and he needs to be removed from office as fast as possible. But we have a sick president as well, and he's definitely got a few pathologies, and he needs to be removed as soon as possible. And we have an extremely incompetent, heartless woman as vice president who needs to be removed as soon as possible. But you know what I'd like to see happen more than anything else right now? I'd like to see us have a constitutional Senate. Because if we had a constitutional Senate like our founders gave us properly, we would be able to remove these people from office rather quickly. And we could save our nation. My stomach is a little bit upset. I exercised yesterday, and today I didn't get some important things done. Got a couple things done, but have to focus on important things. So Sunday's not going to be exactly a day off for me. I like to tune in Sunday to a service long distance with a Bible study, and they've had problems with the software, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to be awake at that time, but it's almost 2 in the morning here. I woke up way prematurely. We have a madman at the helm of the Department of Justice. Attorney General Merrick Garland has given you public testimony, and so you can observe his pathology. What is his pathology? Well, he can't get over the fact that he didn't make it to the Supreme Court. And just to show you that, look at his recent testimony before the Senate. I believe it was before the Senate. It might have been the Congress, but I think it was the Senate. And he said, as an example, a justice, a Supreme Court justice, he gives that as an example, which basically lets you know that that's what's bubbling beneath the surface, is an anger and a rage that is not controllable. It is outside of his awareness. But it's in our awareness, we get to observe this, so we can see the man's not right in the head. We can see he's an angry man. We can see that he's showing signs of sociopathy, just like Peter Straussick showed us when he testified. So you've got people that are extremely sociopathic in nature in sensitive positions. You can't have that. And you have, above all, you have a Jewish gentleman who's declaring that Catholics are the white supremacists. The Catholics that go to high mass, that is, those are the white supremacists. He doesn't retract it. He has his FBI opening criminal investigations on them, just like he had his FBI opening criminal investigations on parents. Imagine you're the father of a 14-year-old or 13-year-old girl, and your daughter is violently raped at school, and you show up at the school board, and the school board has the police beat your ass to the ground and arrest you. Wow. I think there's violence, all right, on the part of the school board against the parent. I think the only cure to that is to fire the entire school system. And I do mean that. I mean, it should be illegal to require people to pay property taxes for this public school system. I don't think you can get it recovered. I think you just take it apart and you tell parents, You had the children. They're your responsibility. You're responsible for their education. Don't put it off on us people. We don't want to raise budding communists, or at the least socialists. We don't want to raise children who are going to be criminals and treat us old folks rude anyway. There's so much crime going on right now. So little respect for the elderly. It's pretty bad out there. But this is what happens when you elect Democrats to office. We have a problem. We have a sick man in office. His name is Merrick Garland. He needs to be gotten rid of. He actually should be disbarred. Maybe he actually should have his head examined. Maybe we should do that. He sits there lying like a snob to the Congress. His derision is obvious. It's kind of like Peter Strzok, except Strzok was a really wicked dude who couldn't control his own facial expressions. And they revealed the truth about him to the rest of the nation. And he still hasn't been charged for his subversion of our government because of Barack Obama putting him in a protected position so that there would be no accountability and you couldn't fire him or charge him or do anything to him. You need to understand that everything's coming to light, and there's going to be more coming to light much quicker. You have a government that is in office, in power, very much illegally, based upon the fact they assassinated their own president. Is there any justice at the Department of Justice? Oh, no. I say fire Merrick Garland immediately. But what are you going to do about it? You got an incompetent president who shouldn't be in office. You've got a vice president who's just an ugly person who earned her way the hard way on her knees sucking dick. Even the recipient of her sexual favors warned the nation against having her in office. Willie Brown warned us, you don't want her for president. And Willie helped facilitate that evil creature. You need to understand your government's been taken over. It's been bought off. The Chi-Coms are pouring their money in here. We keep calling it the Chi-Coms, but it's really the bankers here that are behind the Chi-Coms that have been running that for quite a while. They ran the Soviet Union for a long time as well. So it's all been done from evil men from our own shores who have taken over our own government. And we still allow them to have seats in the Senate, even though their forefathers started World War I on us. Yeah, that was Jacob Schiff went into the office. President Taft insisted Taft honor his promise to stop all visas so Russians couldn't come to the United States of America because he was after the Tsar. Why was he after the Tsar? Well, it was really simple. The Tsar interfered with their ability to conquer and divide America. That's what they were going to do during our Civil War. If it wasn't for the Tsar, the Russian Tsar, we wouldn't be a nation today. And yet here you are flying the stupid flag outside, that yellow and blue flag. And you think you're doing a good thing because, you're told. You're told what to do. You're told what to believe. You're told how to think. You don't think for yourselves. I'm about ready to put the Russian flag up next door to the Ukrainian flag just to give that guy some guff. Well, I'm not going to lift a finger. Yes, I've got the emotions. Yes, I'm upset about it. But it's like, what can I do? You can't fix stupid is what James Wickstrom used to say. And man, people buy into anything this media tells them. There's enough evil to go around, isn't there? And we have the head of the FBI who's busy opening up criminal investigations now on Catholics. Okay, yeah, I got probably a couple gripes with the Catholics myself. This certainly isn't enough that I want to open criminal investigations and mar them forever and put them in prison. I mean, where does this end? There goes my backlight. We're stuck with that. That's just the computer going out. It's the power saver. Folks, you need to understand that the evil ones are running the planet today, and it is insanity, and it is going to get worse. It's not going to get better because you won't wake up and throw the bastards out. I think that we get rid of our school systems completely. We don't even argue with the boards anymore. We just tell them, goodbye. Your services are no longer wanted. They certainly aren't necessary. It's not, I mean, why pay those people to destroy the nation, to destroy your children? Don't you care about your sons and daughters? Good Lord, look at what they expose them to. And the average person doesn't want to see the truth. They don't want to wake up and realize what's going on. You don't want to believe how bad it is. Can't blame you. Can't blame you, but you've gone this far with it, so you're going to go along with the rest of the dumbass programs. You're going to go along with them bombing you, with them doing chemical attacks, biological attacks, weather attacks, and putting invaders among us. I was just talking to a brother yesterday. He told me that one of the people that came up from South America that's in the country that is a guest, she's on her third brand new car. They give her a brand new car. She's wrecked two of them. They just give her new cars. The government, I guess, or maybe the corporations, but they have all these cars they can't sell, and they're giving them to the illegals along with big money. They don't have to lift a finger. No wonder they love it here. I mean, they have more resources than you or I have. Seriously. They're given a monthly stipend. They're given allowance for gas, for food. I mean, they're given lodging. They're given houses. They don't even have to go for a driver's test. They're just given those things. And the crime's going off the charts. And of course, if you defend yourself, you're going to be the one in trouble. My recommendation is that you walk off, that you no longer support these authorities who claim that, they've got to investigate everything. They got to investigate you because you successfully defended your life. Hell, what they should be doing is ask you what cartridge you used, what caliber you used, and they should be giving you a medal and buying you a box of ammunition and applauding you for your success. And you should be in the paper. You should be in the paper as an example. This man, this woman, I love to see it when a woman does it. My God, a friend of mine told me that he dated a woman in college. He never knew that she carried a large caliber revolver. Hell, somebody tried to rape her in her dormitory, and we're talking about decades ago. What did she pull out? What did she kill him with? One shot. 44 Magnum. Good Lord. Talk about her father made sure she was armed. My God. She killed the rapist. Imagine how much trouble she get into today. I would never send my daughter to one of these colleges. After seeing what I've seen go on there and knowing that the second highest rate of suicide is among women, college age, college co-eds are doing suicides at an outrageous rate. The only reason you don't know about it is because nobody's told you. Because the war veterans kill themselves at a higher rate than the co-eds. That's the only reason you don't know about the girls killing themselves. And by the way, they're not just going out nice, neat, and clean drug overdoses. A lot of them are using guns, And some of them are even hanging themselves. It's pretty serious when a woman hangs themselves. You're going to see a spike in suicide rate in approximately 7 years. That'll be your first spike. Then your second spike will be bigger in about 15 years. This is how long that this stuff that you're allowing to be done to the children in the name of being open-minded, it's how long it's going to take to percolate through and finally eat at them enough that they're going to off themselves. We had a psychologist, I think his name was Eddie Money, but his last name was Money. At the same time that jackass in Indiana, Albert Kinsey, from the University of Indiana, published his studies in perversion, which were perverted studies. They weren't straight ahead. He perverted the whole country. Actually, Indiana owes the whole world an apology for that. That piece of perversion they allowed to come out of there. Hugh Hefner funded that to a large extent. Why did Hugh Hefner fund that? My understanding is that there were a couple of his girlfriends caught him in the act of having sex with their dogs. And he had sex with men, but he didn't love them, so I guess that made it okay, and he wasn't homosexual because of it. You have a sick man in charge of your Department of Justice. You have a very sick man in charge of your FBI. You have a sick man in charge of your nation, who's put in there the most ugly, evil, most unpopular vice president possible as a safeguard to protect his life. And these people, these senators, including Republican senators, they get off the plane in foreign lands where they think they're free and unobserved, unencumbered. And what do they do when they get off the plane? What does Biden do? I thought he did the Heil Hitler, the Roman salute, It turns out he doesn't do that. He does the fist bump to the chest first. So it's the salute Mussolini gave the world. So you tell me, are corporations running our government, or does our government run corporations? You have your high-tech companies that are doing the bidding of the government under the guise of being private companies so they can do whatever they want. And you got a bunch of congressmen and senators who won't curtail them at all, who won't stand up for us one bit. You are going to go to guns. You are going to go to arms. The sooner you form your militias up and the sooner you start defending each other, and you don't need professional police. When you have a militia, it is not a bunch of men running around doing whatever the hell they want. No, it is organized. They have got officers above them. They've got somebody that has authority over them. They're accountable to somebody. And they want to be in good standing with the militia, so they do listen to each other. They are highly organized. And once you have the muscle power of the militia, you don't have to worry about much. If your legislator gets out of hand, or if a sheriff commits a crime, you just take them into custody. They're not going to fight you when you show up with a couple hundred men, armed and ready to go. But you don't want to have a militia because it'd be having responsibility. You'd have to be an adult. You'd have to be willing to hold a gun. You'd have to be willing to point at another human being and pull the trigger. Folks, that's what they're going to do to you. They're going to hold a gun on you and point it at you. They already have police that do that freely as it is right now. And you're going to say, well, Dr. Ken is anti-police. Look, I've worked in the prisons for quite a while. Those cops are given too much leniency, in my opinion. They aren't held to the right standards. There are some jurisdictions that are just flat out evil. I mean, the worst prisons outside of the Deep South are in the state of Arizona. It's because the system is corrupted. You have problems everywhere. But your problems in some states are worse than in others. And they're going to keep on attacking you. They're going to be shooting out more transformers. They're going to be poisoning water supplies. They're going to be spreading chemicals. Anything that's slow kill technology, they're going to unleash because you won't realize you've been attacked. You won't die quick enough to put two and two together. You need to get to know your neighbors really well so you can cover each other's backs. You need to know your neighbors really well, and you need to carry your own gun. Especially if you're a woman, you need to carry your own firearm. For one thing, I'm not lifting any of my guns to protect any of you women out there. Of course, I say that. I probably do it in the heat of the moment. But I'll tell you right now, why should I draw my gun to defend your life when you elected Barack Obama president? Are you not part of the problem since you put that piece of shit in office? How you liking the third term of President Barack Obama? I can't wait for his fourth term. Yeah, folks, I'm very frustrated and I'm pretty angry. I guess I'm just an angry white man. Well, it wouldn't matter what color I was, I don't think. I'd still be angry at this point. Good people need to be angry at this point. You need to be able to defend yourselves. This country's going to be coming apart. We need our militias. We need our private and public militias. That's what we had when we were founded. We had those for quite a while, but then the central government took them away in 1902. And the most powerful branch of the government, I read the Constitution. The most powerful branch of government was the Congress, according to the powers that were given the Congress in comparison to the judiciary and the presidency. But you have a president who's already waged war outside of the Congress. He's a terrorist. He needs to be put in his place. Frankly, if I was president, come into office, I'd take up Joseph Robinette Biden. I'd take him into custody and I'd send him over. I'd send him over to Putin. I'd deliver him right to Putin and say, here he is. Do what you wish with him. Do it legally. Use your own laws. Do what you want. But if you're done with him or when you're done with him, don't set him free. We want him back. Maybe we can get the truth out of him. And maybe we can get Victoria Nuland over there to them as well. I think those are suitable peace offerings. And this guy Blinken, the guy who wrote the book on pipeline diplomacy, in 1987, I think he published how you need to destroy your enemy's pipelines to wage war against him. We'll ship him over too. I think that the three of them ought to be adequate. An adequate apology to Mr. Putin. The word is that those Department of Defense biolabs in the Ukraine that Hunter Biden has got a vested interest in, that they generated a certain malady around the world, and that's as far as I'm going to go with it. And Putin is in there to clean that shit up. Our shit that doesn't belong there. Folks, we don't have any control over this government. There is no oversight anymore. There are no checks and balances. It is totally out of whack. We need to correct our own government. We need to get a hold of it again. We just have to return to the original structure our founders gave us. You invoke my strategic intervention, the return of the original 13th Amendment, and one of the first things you do is put in a proper Senate. And I think you go as far as to tell the states, you send your senators, and you will pay their They're paying benefits as you deem appropriate, and they're subject to instant firing in a heartbeat. We start there, and then we focus on those state governments and start disincorporating them. We start removing their corporate structures, and we put in organic governments at the state levels, and I don't understand that very well. There's a woman in South Carolina who has explained that to a bunch of us on Facebook. Patricia Wheat, and she explained that we have to put in proper organic governments. As it is, they put in these corporate debaucheries, these corporate abortions, these hideous things, and that's what rules over us. We're no longer under common law. We don't have a constitution. You don't have any rights. You have whatever these governments decide to let you have. It's really bad. They've gone way too far with their stuff. And how many of these governors have been bought off by the Chi-Coms? And what did these governors require of their people? And then we find out from Alex Jones, who's an agent provocateur. I mean, I looked it up in the dictionary, and right there beside agent provocateur, there was a picture of Alex Jones right in the dictionary there. But yet even a blind sow finds the acorn occasionally. Even a broken clock is right a couple of times a day for brief moments. And they're telling us that the death rate in Kentucky is the highest in the land. I can't tell you any more about that. We're not allowed to talk about those things. Went to see my cardiologist the other day, and he sat there, and you could tell he's tired at this point. He says, we can't even talk about this stuff. I mean, he says, in science, we talk about that. That's how we get to the science. That's how we understand things, and we arrive at these principles. We talk about them. I looked at him and says, yeah, you can't talk about it now. He says, no, we can't talk about it. He says, I can't wait till this is over. Is this going to end? How is it going to end? I mean, is he going to be able to practice medicine as freely as he thinks he once did? At this point, I think that we're finding out that none of us have been free this whole time. Everything's been controlled from the top down. You have centralized power. You have collectivism in a big sense of the word. And we need to decentralize. And we can do it very easily. We have to go back to being a good people. That's the most important thing. But I don't think we can do that unless we become a bunch of Bible readers. And we actually have some values. And we actually become free thinkers once again. And we're free to determine our fate. Of course, if I was president, I would do away with the income tax and all of those laws that make people unequal, because that's basically what it does. I would require a tariff and a duty at the border on all goods and all services, and that would go into the public treasury. I would require that we return to the original constitutional currency. Not going to allow any paper money at all. I'm sorry, you're going to be carrying weight. You're going to carry some gold and some silver in your pockets, and that's all there is to it. You're going to have a money based on real wealth instead of this money magic that comes out of Babylon, instead of this usury that's been used to take over the world, this usury that's allowed the evil ones to steal so much that they now own it all. The richest man of the world was the Tsar of Russia at the beginning of the 1900s. From the turn into the 20th century, he controlled about 1/6 of the surface of the earth. He owned about that much. He got it legitimately. But who's the richest man in the world as of the last turn of the century into the 21st century, into the year 2000? Well, he's recently deceased. That was Sir Lionel de Rothschild. How much of the world did he own? They estimated 51%. So how did he come up from way below 16% to 51% in 100 years? I don't think it was good business. I think it was fraud and deceit. So what are you going to do about it? Me, I'm going to isolate a little bit. I'm going to exercise some more. I'm going to read my Bible. I'm going to exercise my mind. I'm going to pray to Yahweh, Creator Father, that He give me the wherewithal to see the greater good, to make that decision for the greater good, and the Constitution, the wherewithal to be able to exercise His will. I can't think of any other way to go. I certainly do not understand these big pieces of this puzzle that we have in front of us. I don't understand it all. I don't think I was designed to be out of relationship with Creator Father God. And the problem is right now, the entire world is discriminating against me because of the color of my skin, because of my gender. They are all against me. It is required that you discriminate against me by law in the United States of America. There's no equality before the law. That's been gone a long time ago. All those feel-good laws that they passed, they did us in. You know, those laws you put in the books because you wanted to limit the other son of a bitch, all that stuff got used against you. You felt good doing that stuff, and they never told you what the real consequences were, what the real activities were, what the real deal was. My God, we've got some stupid people in government. Who made the decision to light that train on fire? Who made the decision to blow up the contents of that train and create dioxins and spread dioxins far and wide? Whoever it was that was in the positions of government needs to be charged with crimes against humanity. Actually, it's not just humanity. Crimes against all the species of that area. The birds and the animals and the fish. They need to be charged with their crimes, and they need to pay the price. But you're not going to see that. They're going to get away with it. They're going to move unencumbered. If anything, they'll be promoted to a higher position and be given a bigger paycheck by the central government. That's your government today. That's what you voted into office because you wanted to feel good. You elected a British subject to the office of the presidency. He wasn't even qualified. He's still in the country illegally. And you worship him. You still think that you still want him for president. And you got him running things behind the scene. And you're quite happy and content with it. This country's going to pay a big price for that one. You need to understand. And if you don't understand, go listen to my other videos and you'll get the picture. Especially on the other channel when we talk about Barak in the Bible, what the name means. What the real biblical definition is of Barak. And the origins for that name. You're not going to be happy when you find out what it is. You're not going to want to believe it, but it's quite true. He's Yahweh's agent, which he is wielding against those who hate him, against his enemies. Says it in Deuteronomy. I think it's 32:41. I got to look that up. Maybe it's Leviticus. You know, those two books repeat each other's material to a certain extent. Anyway, I'm real tired. I'm going to crawl back in bed. Hope that I can attend to my own bills. Maybe listen to a nice Bible study headed up by somebody who knows his stuff so I can learn some more. Get my tasks done and the actions that I have to take to recover my property. I'm not expecting much justice out there. And if I have to lose, then I will become Job, as Job was in the Bible. His wife perpetually told him to curse God and die. And Job's response to his wife was, should we not take the good with the bad? Should we not take the good from Yahweh along with the bad? Should we not accept the good with the evil? So that's my place, is to take the hits and keep on going. I don't like it much. I wish Yahweh would step in and take care of me a little bit better. But that requires my patience and waiting on him. It requires me to use the tools that are available to me in this society, and those tools are limited. And one of the other parties decided they were going to limit it by making false accusations about me. It's wild. It is wild. So what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to crawl into a hole and hide? No. I guess I have to go out there and take a few more hits, a few more bruises. Oh well, I don't like that much. I do know there will be another judgment. Yeah, it's pretty well detailed in the Bible. Tune into the other channel, Awakening Israel, if you want to know more about that. This is Giving Psychology Away 135. You and I are living through the destruction of America. We're living through the demise of it as the evil ones have taken over everything inside the nation, and they are waging unlimited warfare against us. They're doing weather warfare, chemical warfare, radio frequency interference warfare. They use everything they can as a weapon against us. And above all, they're going after your children. They're grooming them to pervert them. And the numbers of suicides are going to be just outrageous because we tolerated this period in our history. You can't avoid that. You mark my words, 7 years from now, there's going to be a spike in suicides in teenagers. And then 15 years from now, you're going to have young adults who cash their chips in. We know this because the experiments were already done in the 50s. A psychologist named Money did 2 experiments. And in both of those, they ended with suicides of young men who were only in their 20s. They couldn't stand their lives because of what Eddie Money, I think it was Eddie Money. I don't know what his first name is offhand. I'll have to look that up. But Dr. Money really did some damage to them, and they felt they were better off self-deleting. I don't want to see that happen. I'd like to see suicides among our veterans decrease. I'd like to see it fall. I'd like to see suicides among our college-age women, among our co-eds. I'd like to see that decrease as well. And you aren't even aware of that one, but you are now. And the suicide rate remains constant around the planet. It just shifts from location to location. And so it is the human condition. It is part of our suffering as the lot of us. Okay? Yahweh bless. Make America good again. Do your part. Do not be deceived. Hold your ground. That's exactly what Yahshua the Messiah said. And I'll tell you that. So do your part to make America good again. It is the only way that Yahweh will step in and make America great again. It's possible. What do you think? Is it impossible? Yahweh bless.